Hey everyone, welcome to Moreality, your channel for React Native content. Today we're going to be talking about the useDebugValue hook. We'll talk about what it is, how to use it, and how to set up a debugging environment so you can see it in action. So starting off with what it is, the useDebugValue hook can be used to display a label for custom hooks in react-devtools or your independent standalone debugger such as Electron, which I'll be showing you today. In some cases, formatting a value for display might be an expensive operation. It's also unnecessary unless a hook is actually inspected. So keep that in mind if you don't want to do this for every single hook that you create unless you're going to actually be inspecting it in the DevTools. For this reason, useDebugValue accepts a formatting function as an optional second parameter. This function is only called if the hooks are inspected. It receives the debug value as a parameter and should return a formatted display value. And just to reiterate, it's not recommended adding debug values to every custom hook. It's most valuable for custom hooks that are part of a shared library, for example. Okay, so let's jump into how to implement the useDebugValue hook. First, we'll go ahead and create a new folder called call it hooks. This is just the way that I set it up. You can add in the root directory or wherever you have your code set up. Go ahead and add the hook. We'll call it useStatus.js. So what this is going to be, this is going to be our custom hook. We're going to use this useStatus hook to get the status. This could be for anything. This is going to be a simple example. So what we're going to do is we're going to import useDebugValue, and then we're going to import useState as well. And that's going to be from React. If you're wondering what this is right here, 4.2K, gzipped 1.8K, this is an extension that I use to determine how large these imports are. So that way when I'm going to optimize the size of my application, I can determine where the big heavy hitters are at, and potentially instead of just importing React from React, importing everything, maybe I just want to import certain packages. I could show that to you in a later video if you'd like to know more. So we'll call it useStatus. It's going to be an arrow function. Here we're going to say const pending set pending. It's going to be equal to useState, and by default we'll set it to true. Here we're going to say useDebugValue, and what we'll do here is we're going to say check the value of pending, and if it's true we'll say pending is true, and then if it's not we'll say pending is false. Then here we're going to return an array pending and the function for set pending. We're going to be using that for our button, which I'll show you in just a minute. Let's go ahead, export default, use status. Okay, so what we did, just to reiterate, we created a state variable called pending and a function called set pending that we get back from useState, which we set to true by default, or its initial value. Then we use debugValue hook. We check the value of pending. If it's true, we want this string. Pending is true. If it's false, we want this string. Then we're going to return pending and the function set pending, and then we're just exporting it default. So now what I want to do is go to our source folder. I'm going to add a new file. We're going to call it useDebugValue hook.js, and we'll do the RFNE snippet. Sorry, RNFE snippet. And we're going to import useStatus, and you can see the import automatically right here. So I'll click that one. That's in my hooks folder, and it's called useStatus, so that's good. Now I'm going to create, I'm actually going to pull pending and set pending because it was returned by useStatus. So now I'm pulling those, the state variable and then the function in from useStatus, which we returned. So calling this hook will get both of those back. And then we have our text here. Let me go to app.js real quick. We're going to want to use this component now, useDebugValue hook. It's going to import it. You can see it was imported right here from our source folder. It's self-closing. I like to just separate third-party and local imports. Okay, so app.js is good, useStatus.js is good. Now we just need to finish up useDebugValue hook.js. So here what I want to do is add a button, and we need to import this button, and it's saying we need a title, so let's give it a title. Call it change status. Its function for the onPress is going to be, we're going to set pending to not pending. So basically what we're doing is, if pending is true, then we're going to set it to false when we press this button, and if it's false, then we're going to set it to true. So let's change the child in here, and then we'll say pending, and then we want to put the value of pending in here. Now if I just do this, putting pending in there like that, we get nothing right here. There's nothing there. So to fix that, we just say .to string. There we go. Now we got the value of pending there. Now I just want to throw a little style on this real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and justify content, center, and align items to center. Okay, good. And then I just want to make the font a little bit bigger. Font size, we'll put it to say 20. Put a little margin on the top of say 30, and then margin on the bottom of about 10. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so now what we could do is we could click this button and it'll switch pending to false. There we go. So we could click this and we see, alright, it's working. And so speaking of debugging, one of the ways to debug is using console.log. I have an extension as well for this where I press Command-Shift-L, and what it does is it puts the variable in quotes and then puts the variable in there, so that way in the console we could actually see it, where it puts the variable name and then the value of the variable. So here, let's check the console as we change the button. Now we can see it switching false, true, false, true. Okay, so that's working. So that's one way to debug. However, another way to debug is to use the tools, if we press M here, we can see debug remote JS JavaScript. So what we'll do first though is we're going to go into another console, and here you could see, let's just clear this for a second. So we want to be in this directory, and then we'll say yarn add react-devtools. I'll provide a link for this so you can see the documentation in the description of this video so you can get more information. This is a simple way to set it up. So yarn add react-devtools, and we could go to our package.json file. You can see it was modified here. So now you could see react-devtools here. So this is the version that was installed. And then now what we could do is we could type yarn react-devtools. So this looks similar to what we just entered, except we don't have the add. So now we're not adding it, we're actually just running it. So we go ahead and hit enter. And so this is Electron. Here you can see this is how Electron loads up at first. And what we need to do is one more step. Let me see if I could keep this on top. No, I can't. Okay, so let me put this to the side for a second. We'll come back to that. Then what I want to do here now is press M. Now I want to click this debug remote JavaScript button. So now what we get is we get this right here. Let me show you. So this is the React Native debugger that comes up. And once I press that, it connected to Electron. So this window, this React Native debugger window in Chrome, I use Chrome. You could use Safari, I think a couple other browsers if you like. However, I prefer Chrome. So keep this window open while you're debugging. I'll go ahead and minimize this. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing here. Okay, let me just hit reload here. Okay. Pull that back up. Okay, so now what we can see is this is the hierarchy of our entire app. Here is actually where we start. So this is app.js. Here we can see the view. If I slide over a little bit, it's a little tricky fitting this all on one screen. However, you can see the view, and then you can see the two text components here. So you can see this one, and you can see inside there the children is useDebugValue, and here we have useDebugValue. The next one is in React Native, and here you can see on the next one it'll say in React Native. So we could use this DevTools debugger, Electron, to go through all the components in our app and be able to debug from there. So now if we click this useDebugValue hook, we could see we have this hook called status, and this is the hook that we created in useStatus. So whatever is listed here as the hook, it removes the use part and just puts the name of the hook. So useStatus is just status. And if we look back at the code, we'll see, remember we said useDebugValue, and then we checked to see the value of pending, and then we said if pending was true, display this, pending is true, and if pending is false, then we put pending is false. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll click this button to change the status of pending. So I'll set it to false, and here it's going to say pending is false. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, there we go. So now you can see pending is false. Change it again. Pending is true. So this is the way that you can go through all the components in your app, check their values. What's nice is you could actually check the styling as well. You could see here we have, let me bring this down a little bit. So this text component is this text component on line 10, and you can see the style. It says font size is 40, margin bottom is 10, and you can see that style right there. Okay, everyone, that wraps up everything for useDebugValue hook. This is the last hook that we're going to be doing. Next thing is going to be jumping into some of the React Native core components, like flat list, scroll view, button, text components. So plan is to focus on those core components. Try to pick just the main ones that we really need to use to start building apps. Then from there we'll start to dive into other popular libraries and frameworks to use, such as things for React navigation, Firebase database, AWS Amplify authentication, and then we'll slowly start to build up to get into full builds. So we're basically going from knowing nothing to being able to do full builds. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments or things that you want to see or questions that you have, feel free to drop a comment below. We will get back to you. We're starting up a Discord channel a Discord server as well. So please ask for the link. We'll send you an invite. Anything else you'd like to see, please let us know. Again, like and subscribe. Have a good day. Bye.